Mom tells daughter to give up on being a doctor because of grades. AITA May 10, 19. Originally posted by you, AITA Mother or Not in R. Am I the Asshole on March 24, 2019. Updated on May 10, 2019. Trigger warning. Drug use. Trauma. Less than. AITA for telling my daughter to give up on her dreams? Original post. Basically, I am a doctor who graduated from one of the top med schools in the country. Because of this, I know what it takes to make it as a doctor. My eldest daughter is also on a medical track. She goes to a top 20 school and is excelling. She is a junior, and will probably get into one of the best med schools next year. My youngest daughter is not like us. For my eldest daughter and I, math and science come more naturally. It's not something we need to work hard at. My youngest daughter, however, really struggles with these topics. In college, she has to study for her STEM classes for hours and hours just to get the average grade at a school. That's not very difficult. My daughter, to her credit, is a very hard worker and I admire that. However, that hard work could be placed to a field that she can really excel in instead of being a doctor. She will always struggle in med school, but she can take her talents elsewhere and become an amazing law or business major. The drama is that she called me yesterday and told me she had trouble getting accepted with an internship, and asked if she could work with me this summer. I basically told her she should reconsider the medical professions because she spends all day studying and she is barely average. And I don't think she can succeed as a doctor. But I reassured her that it's okay and she can find something else to shine in. On the phone she was really quiet. And I ended the phone call with, "I love you." After this, I have my eldest daughter, ex-husband, mother, and siblings spamming me and telling me to apologize. Youngest won't even pick up the phone. I understand that her feelings may have been hurt, and while that's valid, I think tough love will help her in the future. For example, it may have hurt her feelings when she was younger because I wouldn't let her eat cookies for dinner. But as a parent you need to protect your children, even when it hurts them in the short term. Judgment. Asshole. Update 2 weeks later. Hello Reddit. Some people asked for an update on this post. So here it is. I considered writing it closer to our initial reconciliation, but I'm glad I didn't, because this situation became bigger than I thought it would. My daughter unblocked me so she could call me, and she ripped me apart almost as harshly as you guys did, telling me I never believed in her, that I think she's an idiot, etc. I apologized profusely, and told her that I didn't realize the damage I was about to do when I made my comments, and promised that I would support her in her journey in any way possible. I asked her if there was anything I could help her with to make this journey less difficult, and told her I'd find an internship opportunity with one of my colleagues. The conversation was pretty heavy on both sides. The two of us couldn't stop crying, but it seemed like after my apology, we were in a better place. Despite still having reservations as her ability as a doctor, I was going to try to support her. Well, the semester ended and grades come in any day now. Last night, she sat me down, practically in tears. She told me that she wanted to prepare me, but she was going to get an F in a class. I was literally dumbfounded. She told me she was caught cheating on a test. She basically blamed me. She said after our conversation, there was too much pressure on her, so she caved and sneaked a whole sheet of notes into her test that F, combined with an academic integrity violation, basically ensured that med school won't be an option anymore. When I found out, I was less angry and more extremely distraught. I apologized for putting so much pressure on her, but told her that being a doctor sincerely isn't worth losing her integrity. She told me that a part of her realized I had a point during our first conversation. She likely would not get into med school with her current grades. So she tried even harder to achieve her goals. Studying longer hours, using supplemental books, doing endless practice problems, but when she kept getting below the mean on her orgo practice tests, she tried it with notes and got above the mean. She thought it would be a foolproof plan. This is definitely not the update I wanted to give Reddit. Thank you for understanding. Update 2. I have a group chat with my daughters. I sent them a link to this suggestion because I thought it would be helpful. Oop links this comment that she sent to her daughters. I am sorry. I know you feel horrible. And so does she. Maybe she can go to the local community college and get her GPA up and get her core classes out of the way cheaper. Then transfer to a university with a cleaner slate. There's nothing saying that she can't reasonably achieve something medically related. A speech pathologist, physical therapist, nurse, respiratory therapist, X-ray tech. Encourage her to keep going despite this little bump. It may be better for her to go get a GED and go to the community college. That's what I did. Money is hard. And the education transfers. Oop replies. We'll definitely consider that. We're more so worried the academic integrity violation will follow her through med school. My older daughter found the post and read it. She called me and was extremely upset, and told me not to feel bad for my daughter. Apparently, the reason my daughter was getting subpar grades was because she wasn't putting in the effort. She'd call me and say she spent hours studying and doing problem sets, but really has been partying her ass off and buying study sheets for tests. As I'm writing this, I'm dumbfounded and I can barely believe it. I don't believe it, to be honest. I'm going to approach my daughter and talk to her about this. Not sure if I'm updating again. Update number 3. Daughter and I had a long talk. And it's a doozy. So her freshman year, she actually put in effort. She was trying hard. So those hours of studying weren't a lie. However, she had a very traumatic life event that she did not tell anyone about, and spiraled after that. She stopped caring about her classes, thinking she could easily get a job as a doctor via cheating. She did illicit drugs basically daily. When I called her, she realized her lifestyle wasn't sustainable, as in she could not become a doctor and would have to put in effort to achieve that goal. But she wanted to continue her lifestyle. So then she got caught cheating. She told me she doesn't even have a passion for medicine anymore. Or anything. She is just numb. She says it's easy to be happy around her family, because we only see her for a short period of time. But she had been hiding her whole life in sadness from us. To me, this sounds like severe depression. We will definitely be going to individual and family therapy. OOP's final comments. I honestly can barely believe the story myself. I'm going to bed and sleeping on it. This is messed up, but part of me wants to believe she's just lying. This is just so heartbreaking. Oops comments leave you with the feeling that she isn't sure if she can believe her younger daughter's story about trauma after all of the lies and manipulating her mother into thinking it was all her fault that she had to cheat and failed. For the daughter's sake, I hope it was manipulation. I am flaring this concluded, as we do find out in the update that she had already been failing when mom suggested she look at other career choices. So the original issue was resolved. Oop never posted again. Mood spoiler. Bad to worse. At least everyone is getting much needed therapy. Oh dear. What a mess. The final explanation of the younger daughter's behavior makes so much more sense. I hope she got some healing from her trauma and her life is in a better place now. On the initial question, honestly I'm torn. Oop was looking at past performance to predict future potential and came to a wholly reasonable conclusion. Might it not be kinder in some ways to let someone know that they don't have to struggle to follow in your footsteps? Of course it sounds like Oop had incorrect information. How much her daughter claimed to be studying. The actual reason for her low grades. But you can only work with what you're given. I'm struggling with this one. Ignoring all the stuff that was revealed in the updates. I don't think Oop was wildly out of line for her initial line of thought. Not everyone is cut out to be. And that's perfectly okay. Normally, we see the opposite of this. Parents pressuring their kids into high achievement and high stress professions and being disappointed when their kids don't want to or can't perform. So, I do think OOP's heart was in at least a better place than those other types of parents. Even if it wasn't perfectly executed. But, I genuinely have no idea how she could have walked that line between managing her daughter's expectations and being supportive. I guess she could have encouraged her daughter to think about things. Are you sure this is what you really want? Medicine requires a lot of science and math. And I know those are tougher subjects for you, so it's okay if you might want to do something that doesn't rely on them so heavily. And I'll love you no matter what. Versus flat out telling her daughter that she should reconsider. But if her daughter was dead set on following this path, that wouldn't have done much. And med school is an awfully expensive lesson. I get a little lost when the elder daughter who yelled at Oop for being a jerk then yelled at her for apologizing. I have mixed feelings about the initial post because I honestly don't think Oop was an asshole. A very hard thing to accept as an adult is our limitations. The reality is we spend our childhoods being told can be whatever you want if you put your mind to it, and it's not true. It's a hard conversation to have for sure, but Oop never seems arrogant about their other child's abilities. They're just realistic. And if I loved my child, I wouldn't want them wasting time, energy and money on a career path they aren't suited for. I don't agree with the original law ruling. At some point you have to be an adult and honestly confront your abilities. If you don't, you end up like the daughter. The original commenters are delusional. You can't become a doctor on thoughts and prayers. There's a time and a place to let your kids fail. But this was not one of them. What the daughter did was wrong. But I find myself sympathizing with her. I was also the daughter who wasn't like us and always came up short. I never told my parents about any traumatic life events because I can't trust them not to blame me. I hope things get better for her. My youngest daughter is not like us. And I get the feeling Oop subtly reminded her youngest of that fact regularly. If the events of this tale are true, the youngest daughter spent her school years trying to live up to a standard put upon her and probably would have succeeded had she not then endured a major trauma which by consensus seems to be sexual assault. What the youngest needs is love and support, not a parent telling her she just isn't good enough. I hope this family can work towards being a more cohesive unit that supports one another. Sheesh. That original post is a nightmare of people rooting for blatant nepotism and pure disrespect of what it takes to actually achieve a high-level medical degree. I'm sorry, but some people are not qualified to be doctors. Oop, while harsh, knows what it takes to be a practicing doctor. There are way too many bad medical professionals. Oop, my youngest daughter is not like us. What a great parent. Oop was not the asshole in the first post as someone who works in a college. It's unfortunate, but there are students who dream of being in a profession that is just simply out of reach for their ability. We want students to work hard and achieve, but not at the detriment of their sanity, which is what ends up happening. Medical schools in the UK only accept A grades as well as a long list of extracurriculars and achievements. It's a fact. You need to be realistic, and in all honesty, I wish some parents had the guts to tell their kids this because it's more heartbreaking for them. in the long run. Elizabeth Holmes has entered the chat. I'm a science lover. I absolutely gobble up science as I learn it. My wife is a highly intelligent woman. Science isn't her thing at all. Her thing is law and understanding people. Her intelligence is different from mine. Different types of intelligence exist. I have a friend who isn't book smart. But if you ask her to design clothing, you will get excellent results. I have another friend who will produce soul-moving music. Intelligence is how you use what you have. I get the feeling from how Oop writes that she was not a terribly present parent. Like, sure, she knew their grades and probably monitored their lives as children and teens, but didn't spend a whole lot of time talking to her kids. They were less individual people and more achievements she racked up. But maybe I'm just reading something that isn't there. Damn. We had something similar to OOP's first situation occur with my stepdaughter. The girl who hates math wanted to be an astrophysicist. I guess because she liked astrology. That was an awkward conversation. She is also cheating her way through her online undergrad. So there's that as well.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.